go through your assignments. So your presentation submission is scheduled on 28th May, and your written assignment submission is scheduled on 3rd of June. Okay, so that is how I got the dates. Is it? No, I think there are updated dates, no? Presentation is on 10th June and written assignment on 30th June. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So, yeah, 10th June and 30th June. So, you have, I think you have, you might have gone through your assignments, right? So, I'll briefly discuss about it. Yeah, I'll discuss about the presentation and the coursework assignment in around the middle of the lecture. Okay. So on the last week we did about attributes, right? We completed attributes. We talked about the attribute table, and we talked about querying certain attributes and creating new layers or new shape files which is related to those attributes, right? So today we will start by discussing about customizing symbology. Customizing symbology means so you can when you for example when you load a layer, let's say I'm going to add a layer. Yeah, I'm going to add the shape files here. There are so many shape files. Let's see if I can add from here. Yeah, so here when you expand your directory from here, from the browser, it shows only the shape files. So it is easier for you to load the files from here to your layers, because if you are loading from here through the layer and add layer like that, you have to select each and every shape file because they show all the files. But here only the shape files are shown, and it is easy. So you can just select all using the shift button and selecting. You can select them all, and you can just drag your shape files to your layers window. So you can see here there are some shape files added. Okay, it has no coordinate reference system. Okay, I'll just move this downwards. That is okay. So you can see here, this is a map of some place. So I'll move these points upwards so it is easier to see. And and I'm going to move these lines also upwards. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so you can see here. Yeah. So you can see here there are some features, some points, lines, and polygons. I think this is the activity. This is the layer from the, these are the shape files from the activity that I gave you on the last week, where you have to work with attributes. So you can, in the activity, I think there was a certain place that you need to highlight, that you were required to highlight. So you can go to, it was a building, right? You can go to this building layer and open attribute table, and I think, yeah, I think it is not building, maybe some other layer. So that is up to you. You did you try it? Could you locate it? I think in your activity, they have asked you to find and locate the building of Peradeniya Central College. Yeah, so you will need to adjust the layer symbology to easily locate the highlighted building. So Peradeniya Central College is a building according to what they have given here. So yeah, building polygon. So how are you going to locate it? Peradeniya Central College. Let's see whether there are any names. Yeah, under this name, there are some names given. Most of them are null, but under this name, the name of the building is given here. For example, Bank of Ceylon, police station Peradeniya, like that. So what you have to do is you have to find the Peradeniya Central College. You can either scroll down here, because there are there isn't much data given here under the name. So you can scroll down and see, or otherwise you can build a query. You can use an expression to select the particular building. So I'm going to write fields and values. Under the fields and values, name, name equals Peradeniya. So if you just click on these names and click on these 10 samples, they will give some samples uh, which comes under the name field. So some samples which come under the name field. Or otherwise, you can just click on this and click on all unique. All unique means all the unique names, all the unique words which comes under this name field. So for example, if you have if you have Bank of Ceylon in two places, only one Bank of Ceylon will be shown here. The unique uh, names or the unique words will come here. So I think if you should be smart enough to see, to use. So since there are no many values here. Most of the values are null. So only few values are there. So you can click on this name and click on all unique, and you can scroll down and see there should be Peradeniya Central College. Yeah, you can see here. So you can just double click this and it will appear here. So I'll just remove this. So name equals Peradeniya Central College, right? So I'll just click on select features. Okay. You can see one is highlighted here. So if I just scroll, yeah, here it is. This is the selected feature, Peradeniya Central College. And if I zoom in here, you can see this is the highlighted building, Peradeniya Central College, right? So that is how you can highlight the particular building, right? So, so that was the activity shown on the last day. So I'm going to deselect it. And today we are talking about changing symbology. So symbology means the colors, the visual way, how you can visualize your map. That is called symbology. The symbols which are being used, the colors which are being used, the lines, the width, the weight of the lines, all those things it comes under symbology. So sometimes you might need to change your symbology because you won't be able to distinguish things better in the map if you do not change your symbology. So for example, you can see here there are some lines in green color. If I zoom in here like this, you can see there are some lines in green color. It is hardly visible, right? Maybe they are, I don't know, ways of transportation, roads or something, or maybe hydraulic ways, anything. However, it is rare. It is yeah, really visible here. So if you can just change the colors or change the width of the line, the weight of the line, you might be able to visualize it better. So how you are going to change the symbology is, so I'm going to select that line, this particular green color line. I'm going to select that layer, and you can right click on the layer. You can go to properties, right? You can go to properties. And when you go to properties, you will see this kind of window. And on the left hand tab, you can see a tab called symbology. Okay. So under this symbology tab, you will see many ways that you can change your symbology or the colors of the lines or points or polygons. There are so many ways. So this is a line. So the layer that I have selected has a line, right? So a simple line is used here. So these are the colors which are used at the moment. So you can always change them. Right. So this is you have selected a single symbol, which means only a line, right? So you can change the units if you want. You can change the opacity, right? Opacity, which means if you like transparency, right? If the opacity is low, then it is more transparent. If opacity is high, it is less transparent, right? And this is the color. So when you click on this color, you can see a color chart is given to you. So you can select colors in so many ways, right? You can either use the color code to select it, or you can use a color picker, right? You can use a color picker as well. So I'm just going to give a general color. So since it is a transportation related something, I'm going to give uh, this this kind of color. So it is somewhat yellow or brownish something. So you can change the colors from here also. That is okay. So I'm going to select OK. So this is the new color, and I will increase the width. Sorry, I will increase the width like this, and I can apply it. So you can see when I apply it, the color and since the color and the width have been changed, it will apply like this. So it is more visible than it was in the past. You can also use certain favorites like these kind of lines. So you can use this kind of line as well. So that depends on um, the what you are using. It depends on what you are using the symbology for. So if I apply this, you can see here, this is the effect applied, effect that I have selected. Or I can use this one also like that. So right, you can use any color or any way that you like to change the symbology. So I'll just stick to the color that I have selected. Okay, so when you click on apply, it will apply to the map, right? Yeah. So there is something called layer rendering. So it gives the opacity. If you want to blend the color, I mean, if you want to give a blending mode for the color, then you can choose from here. If you want to darken the maybe the whatever symbol that you're using, like that, you can uh, change. So you can use this and see, right? Right. And you can save the style that you have currently selected. You can save the style, or you can load if you have saved styles previously. You can load, right? You can save as default style like that. You can provide. Uh, you can change the settings, right? So I'm going to just leave it as this. So you can see this is the new color or the new symbology that I am using in my map. So it is more visible. So this actually depends on what you need to emphasize throughout your map. So for example, if you want to talk about transportation arc. So if you want to talk about if your map focuses on the roads in a certain area, then you have to highlight those roads. Otherwise, it is not effective, right? The map is not effective. If the map is talking about maybe hydraulic ways or hydraulic yeah uh, ways that is flowing, then you better highlight this hydraulic uh, arc, right? Hydro arc, like that. So it depends on what you are what you are focusing throughout by using the map. Right? So similarly, I can change the symbology of the polygons as well. So if I go to properties, I can select some other symbol and apply. Okay, so this is, it becomes the opacity is rather low in this um, style, right? So you should select or you should apply the style which is very suitable for your map, right? You should apply the style which is very suitable for your map. So that also depends on what you are going to show through by using the map, right? So yeah, symbology of a layer is its visual appearance on the map. The basic strength of GIS over other ways of representing data with spatial aspect is that with GIS, you have a dynamic visual representation of the data you are working with. You can represent your data in different way, in dynamic ways. So you can change the colors, you can change the symbols, right? You need to be able to explore the data as you're working with it, and good symbology helps a lot. Yeah, so this is very important because let's say you are marking some you're using polygons and you're marking houses, right? You're marking houses. So for a house, For a house, to show a house, it is better to use colors like brown or white or yellow, colors like that. If you want to show maybe streams or lakes, it is better to use colors like blue, right? If you want to show symbols like trees or environmental related things or places, it is better to use greenish colors, right? So good symbology helps a lot. So when you're after you map, you uh, apply symbology for the whole map, you should be able to look at it and understand this might, for example, this might be a lake, this might be a building, like that, right? So colors also help a lot by when you are to understand a map. So if you have an atlas map with you, or you can just go to the internet and see. So in the atlas map, if you look at the terrain map, you can see forests are indicated in green color, mountains and maybe deserts are indicated in yellow or brown color, right? And special buildings like hospitals, schools, buildings like that might be indicated. One way is they can use their symbol. So, for example, for in order to indicate a hospital, you can put a red cross, right? You can put a red cross like that. So you can use symbols like that, or otherwise you can use specific colors, right? So this is how you can change symbology. So there is another way that you can change symbol is when you right click on the specific layer and you can go to styles. So this is somewhat quick way to change the symbology. Uh, it might be quick, but it might not have all the features which was there in the previous way that I showed you. So here you can quickly select another color, right? So this hydro or something, yeah, you can select another color, right? So that again depends on the thing that you are selecting, right? So yeah, like that you can select a color, or you can use recent colors, or maybe you can edit symbols or do things like that. So that is under the styles, right? Under styles, right? So that is how you can change your symbology. I'll give you about 5 to 10 minutes, so you can um, load a map or a layer or several layers to your canvas and try to change the symbology. When you're changing, remember you must change the symbology according to a meaningful way, right? According to a meaningful way, you must change the symbology. Okay, so I'll give you around 5 minutes for you to just get to know about it and practice maybe. And if you have any questions, you can ask, right? If you have any questions, you can ask. I'll give you around 5 minutes. Okay, so do you have any questions regarding change in symbology stuff? Any questions?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So, this will be very useful in your assignments. So, as I mentioned, you should highlight what you want to focus. For example, if in your assignment, if it asks some question regarding some specific layers, so you have to focus them. You have to highlight them. So this will be a very good way to highlight particular features in a map. Okay, so that is about changing symbology, and if we move on to the next thing that I want to discuss is adding delimited data. Adding delimited data into a map. So I have sent you this activity as well. So under this, there is a handout for you. So you can see normally when we collect data, so we talked about how we can collect data, what are the methods of collecting data, what kind of data we can collect. We talked about all of them in our first and second days lectures. So there are many ways that you can collect data and collect and store data, right? So normally, basically, how we are storing data is we generally write down data maybe in a paper or otherwise we can digitally store data in an Excel sheet or maybe in a database or maybe in a as a text file or in a notepad file like this. So normally we can store data in a text file using a CSV file format, right? CSV file format. So CSV means comma separated values. The data or the values in this file are separated by commas. It can be commas, tabs, hyphens, or any particular symbol can be used to separate data from each other. So in when we are using an Excel sheet, all of you know that data is separated from each other using cells, right? Excel sheet has cells, so data is separated from each other using those cells. But when you are storing data in an Excel sheet, it takes much more space than a set of data stored in a text file, right? Because in an Excel sheet there are many other features that you can do. The application file is pretty large when you are comparing with the text file. So in a notepad file, when you just simply open a notepad file, you can just type the data by separating using a tab or comma or whatever. You can just go on type in the data. You do not have cells to separate it. You do not have any colors, any specific features you do not have. So the text file, data stored in a text file takes less space than data stored in a spreadsheet, right? So it is easy to input your data in a spreadsheet rather than inputting in a text file, because in a text file you have to maybe type the comma or maybe type the tab like that. But in an Excel sheet, you can just store the data, just input the data cell by cell. So it is easier to input it. But when it comes to storing data using a text file is more efficient and it takes less space, right? So normally a very large amount of data should be stored if you want to be correct in your research, right? The more data that you have, the more correct or the more accurate you will be when analyzing the data and building up certain conclusions or predictions, right? So in the folder that I have given you, the QGIS EX5 folder I have given you, there is a text file or text document called Signif, right? A text document called Signif is there. If you double click it and open, it will be open using a notepad application. So you can see here, all the data is separated with each other using a tab, right? For example, if I click on here and then if I move right, so you can see there's a tab here. Then the other two data are also separated using a tab. So like that, you can see tabs have been used to separate data from each other. So in the first row, you can see the column names, right? In the first row, you can see the column names. Then afterwards, you can see all the data downwards. So if I scroll to the bottom, you can see there are a lot of data available, right? There are a lot of data available. So imagine storing thousands of files, similar files in a machine using Excel sheets. It will take a lot of space and the processing speed will also reduce in the particular machine that you're storing the data. So here you can see, as I mentioned before, tabs have been used to separate data from each other in a text file, right? Okay. So first of all, I'm going to let you know how to convert data from one format to another. I think, let me see. Okay. So basically, if you want to convert data from one format to another. So for example, as I mentioned previously, normally we add data when we are collecting data at that particular moment itself, we do not add data into a text file, because you have to type the tab and you have to maybe type a comma like that. So that's because of that, it is easier for us to store data in an Excel sheet. So we can just open an Excel file and Excel file, and we can enter the data and we can save this Excel file as a CSV data, as CSV data file. Okay. And if you want to view this data clearly, so for example, if when I open here in this text file, sometimes it will not be easy for you to understand, because only the tabs have been used to separate data from each other. So you can see these column names here do not include data, as you can see, but those data are available here, right? It will not be exactly under the column names which are given in the text files. So it is better if you can open that data in an Excel sheet in order to understand the set of data. So how are you going to do that is, in the Excel sheet, you have under the data tab, under the data tab, there is an option called from text or CSV. Data from text or CSV. So you can click on this. You can click on this and you can go to the particular place where your data file is. So this is the text file. This is the text document that is available with me. Text document or the CSV file, right? So I'm going to select it and I'm going to type import. Okay, so basically they will show you how the data will be loaded into your Excel file, right? So you can so that is okay. So you can select the delimiter. Delimiter means how the data is separated from each other in the text file. So it can be a column, comma, equal sign, semicolon, space, tab, any way like that. So they have selected the tab for us. So you have to mention the delimiter that is being used in the text file. Data type detection. So the data type here in this Excel application will detect the data type of the data which is shown here, right? So it will depend on based on the first 200 rows, you can select it, or based on the entire data set. So based on the entire data set, or maybe based on the first 200 rows, the data type will be detected used by this Excel application, right? So for example, this ID tab, right? Under this ID tab, only numbers have been given. So the 2000 rows, based on the first 2000 rows, this ID tab will be of integer ID tab or number ID tab, right? So you can, if you have different kinds of data or data types, you can use based on entire data set, or otherwise if you do not need that, you can select do not detect data types, right? So there's an option called load, and yeah, you can see there's another option called transform data. So if I click this transform data, you can transform one data type to another. So just click this column. Then you can change the data type to another data type, right? So at the moment, I'm not going to do that. Right. So I'll load it from the beginning. Right. So I'm just leaving as it is, and then I'm going to click on load. Yeah. So this is the data file, the text file, right? The text file which is which you saw previously when I opened using a Notepad application. So you can see all the values have loaded into this Excel sheet, right? So that is how you will load the data, load CSV data into the Excel sheet. So it comes with the column names itself, right? It comes with the column names itself. So here you have an Excel sheet with a set of data. So if you want to save this file as a CSV file, you can always go to File and click on Save As, and you can go to a particular location. Let's say I'm, yeah. Okay. So under the downloads, sorry, you have to save as. So this is not Excel workbook. You have to choose CSV, comma delimited CSV here, right? CSV comma delimited, and you can give a name and click on save. Okay. So just click OK from this. And then if we go to our downloads, so this one is a comma delimited file, right? So this one is a comma delimited file, if you can see here, right? So you can always right click in it and you can open with the text file, right? So here you can see commas have been replaced to what do you say, separate data from each other. Commas have been used to separate data from each other, right? So unlike in the previous file, tabs were used to separate data from each other. Here commas are used to separate data from each other, right? So that is how you can import and export data from an Excel sheet, right? Okay. So so that was something beyond what we need to talk today. So these CSV files, we can load them into QGIS, right? We can load them into QGIS directly. Okay. So I need you to, before I show you how to do it, I need you to open this handout and you can go through this. There are three steps only, right? You can go through the handout and see whether you can open a certain CSV file. So, okay, so the CSV file I have given to you. Okay, so in your application, you can open the data source button and then go and see what kind of things you can change here, right? See what kind of things you can change here. You can select any value that you like. Okay, so I'll give you a little bit of time. Check and see if you can load the data like this. Okay, so were you able to load the delimited text into your or the delimited data into your QGIS platform? Were you able to do it? Did somebody come up with certain questions when they were loading the data? Okay, so when you are loading the data into your QGIS platform, you have a special option called Open Data Source Manager, right? You can use the Data Source Manager in order to load data into your QGIS application, or you can simply use this shortcut. Right? So you have to mention how the data is being separated with each other, maybe the tab, column, comma, or whatever. So we have a latitude and longitude values. Based on the latitude and longitude values only, the data will be loaded into our canvas. So you can see if we go and see this, if we go to this file, you can see here. Here you can see here there are two columns called latitude and longitude. So these latitude and longitude values are given somewhere here, right? So you have to map the latitude and longitude values of the CSV file into the X and Y fields in the canvas. That is how they can load the data then. Okay. So normally they load for the X field the longitude values, for the Y field the latitude value. If you need to change it, you have to change from here. So you can then you have to include a geometry referencing system, right? CRS value, coordinate referencing system. So you can either keep the default value, or otherwise if they mention that there is a particular coordinate referencing system that you have to include, then you have to include that one, right? So you can import the data like that. So if I show you this, okay, I'm going to remove these layers, just delete the layers or remove the layers, and there is a clean canvas. So you can see here there is an option called Open Data Source Manager. Click on this Open Data Source Manager, and here you have to select delimited text. Here there's a tab called delimited text. So you have to select this delimited text tab, and then you can load the files, load the CSV file using this button here. There is a button called Browse. So click on this button, and then you can load the CSV file. So it is under this adding delimited data. Sorry, yeah, adding delimited data to a map. Right, or it is there in this one also, you can see it, right? So whatever, you can click on this CSV file that you have and then click open. So you have to mention CSV comma delimited, sorry, not comma separated values. So you can see here there are no commas here. So you have to give the particular way or the particular file format. So it is not CSV, it is not regular expression. There are no specific expression. and then you have an option called custom delimiters. So you have to select this custom delimiter, and it is a tab. Tab is being used to separate the values. So you have to select this. The application will select for you as well. And then you have to mention that the first record has field names. So you can see here in the first record is the first row. The first row in the document, it has the field names or the column names are there. Right? Some files might not include the column names. Right? The data itself might be included, but here in this file, the first record has the field name. So you have to select this, you have to tick this, and you can use detect field types, right? You can use detect field types. So you can mention number of, sorry, the decimal separator is a comma. If the decimal values are being separated using commas, so here there is a point, right? A dot is used to separate decimal values, but in some cases there can be commas used to separate decimal values. So you have, even in those cases, you have to tick this. If you want to trim certain fields, if you want to remove, spaces from fields, then you have to select this. And you can select this if you want to discard empty fields. So if there is an empty field in a row, that row will be deleted or discarded, right? So I'm not going to select that one because in most of the rows there are empty fields, right? But in some cases, if only one or two rows have empty fields, then you can select this one and discard you can discard the entire row, right? So if you want to discard the number of header lines, for example, if you don't want to load the header lines to this set, you can mention it here, the number of lines that you want to remove, right? And here it comes to the coordinate system. So the X field indicates the longitude and Y field indicates the latitude. So that is the general way. You can see here, that is the general way the data will be loaded, right? You can use other types if it is mentioned, right? If there is no geometry, you can use this one. However, since we have a latitude and longitude values, we will use these point coordinates. There are some other layer settings as well. If you can search for these things and see what are the meanings, and if you need to change the settings, you can change. So here you can see a sample data set will be shown to you, right? How the data will be loaded, right? Basically, something like an Excel sheet will be shown to you here, right? So, and then we can add the data and we can close it. So you can see here, the data points are added. So points are being used to show the particular data set, or points are being used to add the particular data into our canvas. So if I zoom out, you can generally see the world map, because these data are loaded into the edges of the countries. So you can generally get an idea. So this is North America, this is South America, this is Africa, this is Asia, like that, right? This is somewhere here is Australia. You can generally identify the world map, because the data points have been, or the data points are moved to the edges of the country. Okay, so these points indicate all the data which is available in this text file, right? So if you want to see these data, right, for example, Israel and the latitude values and those stuff, if you want to see those data, you have to go to the attribute table. You can right click on the layer and you can select open attribute table, and in the attribute table itself you can see all the data are being loaded, right? So you have to go through this attribute table and see what kind of data is given to you. So you can identify it by looking at the column names, right? By looking at the column names and viewing the data, what kind of data is there. You can understand what data is being recorded. So this data is something related to tsunami, right? Something related to tsunami. So from the year, so sometimes the years are mentioned in a particular way, so you can just go and see how the years are mentioned and the months like that, and what are the data which is actually shown, what kind of data is recorded in this attribute table. So you have to study the attribute table first of all. Most of the data are not available. This is not a very good set of data because you can see there are so many null values, right? However, for the time being, you can understand, you can read the data which is there in this attribute table and try to understand what kind of data is being stored in this data set, right? So there is also yeah. So under this QGIS EX4 folder, you can see there is a handout importing CSV data into Excel sheet. So this is what I have shown you previously, right? So this might be different according to the Excel version that you are using, but this is to just to get a general idea, right? So if you want to import CSV data into Excel sheet, as I have shown you previously, you can refer to this handout, right? And sometimes they might ask these kind of questions, or these kind of options might be given to you to select. So this is, I think this is a kind of older version of Excel application. The newest one, as you saw today, it doesn't ask to this much of information, but you can go through this handout as well and see how to import CSV data into an Excel sheet, right? Okay, so yeah, so as I have mentioned before, since the data points are available in the coastlines or the edges of the countries, we can somewhat identify the countries or where the data points are located, generally identify. But it is better if we have a map, a base map under these data points, then we can clearly identify where the particular data point is, right? So under this QGIS EX4, sorry, EX5, add delimited data to a map. Under this exercise, I have given you a folder called World Countries SHP. So the World Countries shapefile is given here, right? The World Countries shapefile is given here. You can either use that file, that shape file. So under ex5, right, the World Countries shapefile is being given to you. Okay, so I can click on this shapefile layer and move it to here. So yeah, I will move the layer downwards. So now you can see how the data is being recorded. So if I zoom in, you can see this the data points. They are normally located in the coastal lines of the countries, right? The edges of the countries have these data points. Okay, so sometimes the data points might not tally with the world countries map itself. It might not tally correctly because when we collect data, we can make mistakes. I think we talked about that also. What kind of mistakes we can, or what kind of errors can happen when data collection is being done. So as I mentioned previously, this data set is not a very good data set because there are so many null values and so many error data might also be here. But I just took this data set to just to show you the activity. In some places, the data is somewhat realistic, but in places like this, because the data set is about tsunami data, so you cannot obviously have tsunami data around this part of the world, right? So that's why I mentioned you some data sets might not be very correct when they have been recorded, right? So it happens. Not all the data are 100% correct. Okay, so what I need to show you is you can load an existing map, and on top of the existing map you can load the CSV file, right? Or otherwise you can also add a layer um, yeah, you can also add a layer called OpenStreetMap, right? So I will make this not visible, right? This layer I will remove, not remove, I made it invisible. And I will load a layer, an existing layer, which is there with, which comes with the QGIS application. So this layer has the world map itself, and you can use this layer when you do not have a base map, right? So layer, add vector layer, and under this XYZ tab, you can see OpenStreetMap is being selected. Yeah, so only that is available there. Then you can load. Good. Okay. Yes. Okay, so OpenStreetMap, you can add. Okay, sorry. You do not have to do anything here. So that is a little bit complicated here. So you just select XYZ tab and the OpenStreetMap will be visible here. You can simply add, right? Click on add and the OpenStreetMap will be added. So yeah, so this is the OpenStreetMap. So when you zoom in, you can see the general world map will be loaded. So if I move this point upwards, so this again is a way that you can load a general map into your as a base map, right? Into your uh, canvas, you can load a base map called OpenStreetMap. Okay. Okay. So so this is how you can load delimited text data into your map. So if you do not have a map, you can simply load the OpenStreetMap into your canvas, or otherwise you can just download a shape file which contains the world countries and you can use it as well. Okay. Okay. So I need you to do some I need you to do a small activity. Uh, yeah, I need you to go to this EX5. Yeah, I need you to open this handout here, and I think I have sent you that, right? Yeah, add delimited data to a map. I have sent you that folder, right? I need you to open this file and I need you to load the CSV data into your canvas, right? And maybe you can open an OpenStreetMap as well, or maybe you can load the particular layer of the world countries, right? The world countries SHP layer. Load them and try to understand what is being recorded. I mean, what kind of data is being shown here. I mentioned you it is something related to tsunami data, but what else have been recorded, right? You have to go through the attribute table and see, right? And I need you to build a query as we did on the previous day. I need you to build a query, a meaningful query, right? Which visualizes a certain thing, like maybe I don't know, the number of people died in some year, things like that. I need you to build a story by querying, right? By generating an expression. Okay. Did you understand, all of you, or do you have any questions about the thing that you have to do? Did all of you understand the question? Yes? Vinicia?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay. So I hope all of you understood what I asked you to do. So you have to load the CSV file into your canvas, and you have to load the OpenStreetMap or the world countries SHP, that is up to you, right? And you have to go through the attribute table of that CSV data that you have loaded into the map, and you have to build a query or generate an expression. But the expression should be meaningful. I mean, you must describe why you generated this expression. What kind of data you wanted to uh, see, right? So I'll give you around 20 minutes. 20, yeah. I'll give you 30 minutes for that. So at around 10 past 3, I will ask you to explain your expression. You must explain the expression that you have generated. You must explain what kind of data that you have found in this CSV file, what kind of data is available, and you have to explain the expression, maybe one or two, that is okay. You have to explain the expression that you have generated. Okay. Okay. Can you do it right now? Okay. Did you complete the activity that I mentioned? Did you complete the activity that I mentioned?
මටන් sign if value එක add වෙන්නේ නැහැ මේ මෙතනට.
add වෙන්නේ නැහැ කියන්නේ මොකද්ද මේ මොකක්ද
මං
ප්‍රශ්නේ?
Excel sheet එකට add වුණා. ඒත් මෙතනට මේ import වෙන්නේ නැහැ.
Excel sheet එකට import කරන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. මේ කියන්නේ Excel sheet එකකට දාන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. කෙලින්ම sign if මේ අර ෆයිල් එක මෙතනට import කරන්න තියෙන්නේ. open data source manager ගිහිල්ලා delimited text කියන tab එකට ගිහිල්ලා එතන file name එක select කරන්න ඕනේ මේ browse කියන එකෙන්. ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ ex4 කියන folder එක ඇතුලේ තියෙනවනේ මෙන්න මේ text document එක. ඒක open කරන්න තියෙන්නේ. එතකොට
Okay,
මේ
ma'am.
විදිහට එනවද?
මේ dots එක පෙන්වන්නේ නැහැ area එක x y value දෙක පෙන්වන්නෙත් නැහැ. මම මෙතන browse කරපු නැති නිසා වෙන්නේ සමහර විට.
ඔව් මෙතන browse කරන්න ඕන. මෙතන browse කරලා ඔයාගේ ඒ අදාළ ෆයිල් එක ගන්න ඕනේ. මේ folder එක ඇතුලේ මම ඔයගලන්ට එවුව folder එක ex4 folder එක හරි ex5 folder එකෙත් මම හිතන්නේ ඔය ඒකෙත් තියෙනවා. signif file එක. ඒක open ඒක මෙතනින් open කරන්න.
Okay, ma'am.
How about the others? Chamesh? Anjali, were you
Yes, ma'am.
able to do? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Okay. Done.
Okay. So, what was the expression that you wrote? First tell me, what kind of data was there in this file? Can you explain the signif file? I mean, what is the data which was collected? Yeah. Shamish.
Yes, ma'am. Country names and locations ID
Mm-hmm.
and longitude and latitude and region code
Mm-hmm.
and
Any special data that you didn't you see any special data? Yeah, country names, IDs, those kind of data is there in any data set, because we need to have a reference node from where that data is collected. Those kind of things we need to know. So normally the country name or the area name or the latitude and longitude values, those are available in any data set. But here, when you look at this table, what else can you see? What specific things can you see?
damage area.
Damage area.
Total damage.
Yeah, damages are there. Damages done by tsunami, which has occurred in several years, right? So the years have been given to you, right? The years have been given to you. The year, month, and the date, and the hour, minute, second also is given to you. So the years during the latter part of the table, their data is available, right? The null values are almost available in the past years, right? In the very old years. So years like 2000 and 2008 and afterwards, a lot of data is available. So when the particular tsunami incident has occurred, you can get from year, month, date, and the time also, and the focal depth. Something. Yeah, we might not be able to understand all the data which is recorded, but some data we can understand, right? The intensity and the country where that tsunami incident has occurred, the location name, where in that country, right? And the latitude and longitude values, obviously. The region code means it is also related to the location, and the deaths, right? The deaths, the death description. If there are missing people, those data is there. Missing description. Injuries, how many injuries have been done? The description of the injuries. Damages, right? In $1,000,000. Damages which have occurred in $1,000,000. Houses destroyed, right? Houses damaged. So that is the important thing and important information from this table, right? The total deaths, total missing, right? Total injuries, total damages, like that. So basically, this data set shows you when a particular tsunami incident has occurred, at what time, and the place, the place up to the point, and the deaths, the missing incidents, and the damages which has occurred, which has been occurred, right? So that is the most important thing or the most important information of this table, right? So when you are looking at an attribute table, when you are reading, when you are understanding an attribute table, you have to understand that particular thing. What kind of story is mentioned here in this table, right? The IDs, the country names, they will be available in any attribute table, right? But the information related to those places are the important ones. Okay. Okay, Chamesh, you can continue. So what kind of equation or what kind of what do you say expression? What is the expression that you wrote and why?
And I will write. I'm right. Total debt above thousands in which countries?
Yeah, you can write.
Total debt in above 1,000
Hmm.
in which countries?
Yeah, what are the countries
What are
which?
the countries?
Yeah, what are the countries which have total debt with greater than 1,000?
1,000. Yes.
Yeah. So that kind of expression you can build. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Chamesh. Can Anjali explain? You have to explain the attribute table and you have to explain your expression.
මෑම් මෙහෙට පව කට් එකක් මම ෆෝන් එකෙන් ලොග් වෙලා ඉන්නේ ලෙක්චර්ස් වලට.
Okay. Vinisha, were you able to do something?
Not yet, ma'am.
Okay, so I hope you you got the point. What kind of thing you have to do when you get a CSV data set. I think in one of your assignments also you will be getting some CSV data, so you have to load that CSV data into a map, right? So when you are loading CSV data, try to load a base map as well, maybe an OpenStreetMap or maybe a general shapefile which has the world countries in it. Okay. Okay, so I mentioned that I was going to discuss about your assignments. So we have completed, yeah. So we'll discuss a little bit about your assignment, not little bit. We'll first of all, we'll discuss about the presentation, right? So I think you have to your presentation is on 10th June. You have to submit your presentation on 10th June and your written assignment on 30th. Okay. So we'll discuss your presentation. Did you go through the description?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so Give me a second. Okay, so this is a business proposal presentation. So it is similar to what your previous batches have got. The purpose is to assess students' ability to propose and present statistical and geographic information systems related tools, techniques, and methodologies to find out applicable and useful intelligence for taking informed decision making in private and government sector institutes in the island and different parts of the countries in the world in order to solve various problems or find out new opportunities to escalate development in various sectors. So, did you understand? So, that is a very long sentence. So, what we are looking for is you have to use statistical and geographic information systems related tools and techniques and methods, right? Or you have to focus only on those two things, and you have to propose solutions for problems, right? So this problem might occur in both private or government sector in the country or somewhere else in the world, right? So the problem will be given to you, obviously. The relevant high-level administrative officials of those institutions can use statistical applications and GIS to generate maximum efficiency and benefits on informed business decision making while eliminating discrimination, ambiguity, and uncertainty. So you have to help the higher level administrative officials in certain institutes. Certain institutes means it can be government institutes in a country or maybe private sector institutes in a country. You have to propose something where a business decision can be made, right? A business decision can be made. So business decision, why do people make business decisions in an institute? In order to enhance their business and in order to keep their business and institute going in a very good manner, right? So your decision must be beneficial for them, right? Your decision or your proposal must be beneficial for them, not your decision. You must propose something, they will get the decision, they will make the decision. You have to propose certain you have to make a proposal, a business proposal, and they should make the decision based on your business proposal. So to propose something, you have to analyze information which is available. So here we are focusing on statistical and geographic information systems, tools and techniques only, right? So what you have to do is you have to understand the given task based on Sri Lanka using data science domain associated with non-geospatial and geospatial data models. You must apply relevant tools, techniques, and methods found in business analytics subjects relevant to the module scope and develop a business proposal presentation relevant to the topic of the task. Okay. So this is the task that is given to you. Develop a proposal presentation about how effectively GIS and geospatial technologies can be used by Ministry of Energy. So this is a very timely topic, I think. Ministry of Energy to explore oil resources in Sri Lanka to find out long-term solution for the petroleum problem prevailing within the country at present. So you know there is a problem in the country, petroleum problem. So we need to buy petroleum from other countries, and we do not have any dollars to spend to them. So that is a very sad situation. So there's a crisis. So what you have to propose here is a long-term solution, right? This is not a short-term solution. Benefits from this solution might not be visible in near time, but you have to what you are doing is you have to you have to encourage the government to explore oil resources. The government means you have to ask the Ministry of Energy. You are giving this proposal to the Ministry of Energy, right? You are urging them to explore oil resources in Sri Lanka. They should explore and see whether there are any oil resources in Sri Lanka, and they should find long-term solutions for the problem. So oil resources can be there in Sri Lanka or it cannot be there in Sri Lanka, right? So you have to consider those two situations. They might find oil resources or they might not find oil resources. We cannot say that there definitely is oil resources, no. So you have to state how effectively GIS and geospatial technologies can be used for that. Used for what? To explore oil resources in Sri Lanka and to find long-term solutions for the problem. Right? The proposal further need to emphasize how well application of energy exploration research data possible by sourcing, extracting, analyzing, presenting, and predicting for informed decision making by the Ministry of Energy and associated organizations with the support of statistical and GIS data models, statistical data analysis, geospatial data analysis, geoprocessing technologies, and remote sensing technologies. So you have to describe or you have to explain how these GIS data models and all this stuff, right? How these GIS data models, statistical data analysis, and all these techniques and methods can be a support for this organization in order to do energy exploration and research in finding oil resources. Did you get it? Did you understand? So what you have to focus is you have to explain the benefits of using GIS and geospatial technologies in order to explore oil resources in Sri Lanka. You have to propose this to the Ministry of Energy, right? So furthermore, you have to emphasize or you have to highlight how these GIS data models, statistical analysis, geospatial data analysis and stuff can be used for energy exploration research. and how it can be used to source, extract, analyze, present, and predict informed decision making for the Ministry of Energy. Okay, did you understand? Anybody who needs to clarify again? Is there anybody who need to clarify again that part?
I need, ma'am.
Hmm?
I need, ma'am. Again, explain, please, again.
Okay.
Can you please again?
The second one. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
So basically, what you need. So I'll explain the first one as well, first para as well. So basically, what you need to propose is how effectively you can use GIS and geospatial technologies in order to explore oil resources in Sri Lanka. Right? So that is the basic idea. So you're proposing this to the Ministry of Energy. Right? So why are you proposing this? Is because there is a problem, petroleum problem in the country. Because of that, you are proposing how effectively GIS and geospatial technologies can be used to explore oil resources in Sri Lanka. Right? In this proposal, you have to highlight the use or the support of statistical and GIS data models, the statistical data analysis, geospatial data analysis, geoprocessing technologies, and remote sensing technologies. How these technologies can be a support to for the energy exploration research, right? So previously, I mean, in the main idea, you are proposing to do oil exploration, right? To explore oil resources in Sri Lanka. So you have to mention how to do that. How to do that means what kind of tools and techniques. So these are the tools and techniques which are available. So you have to propose how these tools and techniques will be a support for this energy exploration research, right? So how it can support means how you can use these tools and technologies for data sourcing, data extracting, data analyzing, presenting and predicting something which is related to this energy exploration research. Right? Understood?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So first, they have highlighted some points which should be included in the presentation. The presentation needs to be covered with using these following parts. So you must have a brief introduction to the topic. So you have to include a topic. I mean, you have to include a topic for your presentation. So this is the idea is given to you. You have to introduce your topic, right? You have to mention about the importance of the topics as per global or local trends. Here, obviously, there is a local trend because there is a local crisis happening. So you have to emphasize it and you have to mention, you have to explain the importance of the topic. Right? You have to talk about various issues, opportunities related to the topic. Right? So you have to explain the current issue which is happened and maybe other issues which are related to them. You have to mention about certain opportunities which can occur. For example, by doing oil energy exploration research, what are the opportunities that we can get, right? Then you have to explain how those issues possible to overcome and opportunities to make use with the knowledge of business intelligence and analytics. You have to explain how to overcome those issues and how to make those opportunities. For that, you have to include the knowledge of business intelligence and analysis, right? So the theoretical parts that we did in the first and second days, you have to use that knowledge, right? You have to mention about that knowledge. You must do a literature review which is related to the discussion. So you can't just say there is a crisis and we can do something like this. No. You must do a literature review. A literature review means you have to read maybe research papers, maybe newspaper articles, maybe online blogs which are related to this topic, right? So according to this research, we can do something like this. According to this newspaper article, there is a certain crisis, right? According to this blog, we can start this kind of research. Like that, you have to mention, I mean, you can give your own ideas, but you have to relate to some literature, right? You have to relate to some literature. So you have to read, as I mentioned, you have to read research papers, newspaper articles. So these things can be resources of in Sri Lanka as well as of other countries, right? You have to mention what geospatial and ungeospatial data are used for the research. So you can use geospatial as well as non-geospatial data. So you can go to the Ministry of Energy website. They might have some data. Some websites, they have uploaded certain data. So you can go and see, right? Or otherwise, you have to read and find any geospatial or maybe non-geospatial data which is related to this petroleum or oil resources in Sri Lanka. I think there were some reports which were given mentioning that there are certain oil resources in the country. I can't remember where they can be included, but basically you can check with the Ministry of Energy website. They might have certain reports. So you have to use them, use the data in them, right? Then you have to mention what statistical and geospatial tools, techniques, and methodologies can be used. So this is the basic or the main idea. What kind of tools, what kind of techniques, what kind of methods can be used in order to used in this energy exploration research, right? Then afterwards you have to include a conclusion and recommendations, and you have to include referencing, citations, and caption, right? So you have to prepare minimum 10 to 15 slides. You can use a suitable theme. Please use clear and easily readable text. It is better if you can include diagrams and images, relevant images, right? Rather than just typing a very large amount of text, you can use certain diagrams, charts, graphs. Okay. Limit the amount of words you have on each slide. You have to explain things in your own. Don't include everything in the slide, right? So the font and font size, everything is given to you. So the other things are, I think it is how you have to upload it. So you have to name the presentation soft copy, in a certain way, and maybe and you have to submit the soft copy. So this is how you should submit the document or the presentation. So referencing you have to do with Harvard referencing system. Okay, so the marking scheme is also given to you, so you can go through the marking scheme and try to cover everything which is given in the marking scheme, so that it will be easy for us to mark or give the points. Okay, so yeah, so that is basically about the business proposal presentation. All right, clear? Are you clear with it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am, is this individual presentation?
Yeah, this is an individual presentation. So the presentation is, so currently the date is given to you to submit the presentation. I think you have to present it on another day, so that will be scheduled later. Okay, so presentation will be online also. You have to present online. Yeah, so that is about the presentation. Then comes the coursework. Okay, so the coursework, you might not be able to understand everything in the coursework because we currently haven't completed all the tasks yet. But I'll just go through this coursework briefly because some theories we haven't completed yet. There are some theories which we have not completed yet. So at the end of our lecture series on the last day, I'll go through this coursework again so that you will be able to understand everything which is needed to be done, because now there are some questions that you would not clearly understand because we haven't completed that theoretical part yet. Okay, so briefly, what you have to do is you have to understand the given tasks based on Sri Lanka power and renewable energy sector. So here these questions and data are related to power and renewable energy in Sri Lanka. Okay. So there can be non-geospatial and geospatial data. So you have to apply relevant tools, techniques, and methods found in business analytics subject relevant to the module scope and conduct analysis on different subject matters with the support of source data provided in shape files. So source data will be provided to you. They will be provided in shape files or raster files or comma separated or CSV files, text files or Excel file formats. Right? The data analysis and visual demonstration required to be done using standard software tools recommended for the module. So you have to do analysis on this data, and you have to use these tools only, right? These tools are the tools which are recommended for you. So you can use RStudio or R Commander. This is for data analyzing. So we will do practicals related to the R Studio, right? We will use RStudio as the application, and we will do some practicals. QGIS, the one we are doing right now, PostgreSQL and Google Earth. PostgreSQL also we will do some practicals afterwards, right? When we complete QGIS, we will start with PostgreSQL and then move on to R and RStudio, right? The student is required to do the following data analysis visualizations based on data sets provided with this assignment using R, RStudio, R Commander, QGIS, PostgreSQL, Google Earth. So these are the, again, these are the applications that you can use for analysis, data analysis, in order to answer these questions. All required datasets have been included with the datasets folder as separate subfolders per each question. So you will be receiving a datasets folder, maybe a link to that folder, and all the data will be there. Okay, the shape files, the CSV files, all of them will be there in the datasets folder. Right. So question A, this is actually related to R, RStudio and R Commander. So what I will explain what you have to do here. So we will do practicals related to these R and RStudio, R Commander later on. Right. Application of business analytics to analysis how effectively various factors contribute electricity generation and how to manage such factors for taking informed decision making in electricity generation in US, in the United States survey. A dataset name, so it basically say how various factors contribute to generate electricity and how to manage those factors are being this information is available in the United States survey, right? A dataset named electricity generation in 1995.csv. So this CSV file will be provided to you, right? Electricity generation 1955 has been provided for you to uncover possible associations available with output cost, output labor, output capital fuel, using correlation analysis supported by suitable hypothesis with the aid of suitable business analytics tools, such as these ones. So in this CSV file, certain information has been given to you, certain data set which is related to electricity generation is given to you. What you have to do is you have to uncover possible associations. You have to uncover possible associations. You have to see what are the associations in between these things, right? The output cost, the output labor, the output capital, and output capital fuel, right? You have to see what are the associations related with each other, right? So these output cost, output labor, output capital, and output capital fuel will be given to you in this electricity generation 1955 CSV file. So you have to do correlation analysis. You have to build suitable hypothesis, right? and you have to show that there are certain associations between these variables, right? You have to show that there are certain associations. You have to mention what are the associations. Maybe when one variable is increasing, the other variable might decrease, or something like that. You have to mention, you have to visually show, right? You can visually show any association available. So here, first of all, you have to generate a hypothesis, and then you have to use correlation analysis and show that there are some association in between these 4 variables, right? Maybe not all 4, but you have to use those 4 variables to show any associations available. So for that, you have to use R, RStudio, and R Commander applications or tools. You have to discuss the findings. When you do the analysis, you have to discuss what you have found, right? You have to do critical discussions. Means you have to explain each and everything that you find, right? So that is what you have to do in question A. In question B, it is related to question A itself. As per the findings of question A, you are required to develop a well-explained statistical model to predict precisely the electricity output generating factors using statistical regression analysis, followed by explanation of the resulting models with the aid of suitable business analytic tools such as these ones. So in question A, you are identifying the associations, and in question B, you are building a model, right? In question B, you are building a model. So why are you building a model? It is to predict something in the future, right? So with the data available currently, we are building a model where we can predict something for the future. So that is what is happening every day, everywhere, right? That is what is happening. That is the meaning of all of these. Based on the historical data and maybe the current data, we build models where we can predict future data. Okay. So here also, based on the associations that you have found here in question A, you have to build a model, statistical model, to predict precisely the electricity output generating factors using, so in order to build the model, you can use regression analysis, right? In order to build the model, you can use regression analysis, and you have to explain, you have to predict the electricity output generating factors. So you have to predict what are the factors which can be used to generate electricity, right? So you can use, again, you can use business analytics tools such as R, RStudio, and R Commander. So this analysis also should be well explained, or the findings should be well explained. Okay. So here when we say models, it can be, when we say statistical models, it can be either an equation, yeah, or similar thing, right? So that is question A and B. Anything you need to clarify? So currently you do not have and you might not have any idea to like how you are supposed to do analysis and stuff. You might not have a big idea, but when we after we do our practicals, you will be able to understand what kind of thing you need to do in order to answer those two questions. Right.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah.
In our presentation part, is there any word count it has?
No, in the presentation means you have to create slides, no? So there are no word counts in a presentation, but you have to limit your the number of words. I mean, you have to limit the amount of text in your slide. Right? What I mentioned is don't use long paragraph or long sentences in your slides. If you need to use text, please use point forms and use diagrams and charts and stuff as much as you can. Okay?
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. So in question C, what you have to do is
Excuse me, ma'am.
yeah.
But in this document, mentioned above 800 words count.
Yeah, I think there is a mention, I mean, in the in
down.
presentation, right?
Yes.
Yeah, there is word count 800 is like that, but don't think about it too much because it's a presentation, right? So in a presentation, you cannot say that there should be this much amount, this much word in the presentation, right? So you are creating PowerPoint slides, no? So in PowerPoint slides, you cannot you cannot count the words, right? So I think it is a mistake. It was there in the other assignments as well. Don't think much about it. But they have mentioned that you have to use minimum 10 to 15 slides. So you have to keep that in mind, right? Minimum 10 to 15 slides.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. And don't use too much slides as well. So minimum 10 to 15 slides is enough, I think. Don't use slides number greater than 20 like that, because it will be very difficult for you yourselves to do the presentation on the presentation date, because not much of time, I mean, a large time will not be given to you to do the presentation. Okay. Okay, in question C, what they are asking is, I think this question you can do at the moment. Develop a Sri Lanka map that visualizes poverty information by poverty headcount index based on districts during 95 and 96, 95 or 96 and 2016 time period using table number 2.13 in page number 62, poverty indicators by sector or province and district chapter of Economic and Social Statistics of Sri Lanka report published by the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. So this report will be given to you. Economic and Social Statistics of Sri Lanka. This report will be given to you, probably a PDF file, right? So in the page number 62, there will be a table 2.13. So it will show the poverty headcount index based on districts. So there will be districts um, related to each year, I think. During these 2 years, these two time periods, there will be the districts and the poverty headcount will be indicated, right? So you have to visualize this information on a map, right? So a table will be there. So you have to take the data from this table and you have to create a CSV file because you have to upload the numbers to the QGIS application, right? So you have to create a CSV file based on this table. So when you are taking the data from the table, make sure you take only the relevant data. There can be some other data also in the table. There might be or there might not be, I don't know, but take the relevant data. So here you need the head count and the district only. And you need the latitude and longitude values to load the data into the canvas. So the latitude and longitude values might not be mentioned there in the PDF file. In some PDF, in some reports, they might not mention the latitude and longitude values. So in that case, you have to search for the latitude and longitude values for each districts which are available in the table. For example, if you are in the Matara district, you have to get the latitude and longitude value of Matara district. If you are in Gampaha district, you have to get the latitude and longitude value of that district. So you have to, you can search for the value on Google. I think there are, let's see. Uh, yeah, you can get the value like this. Okay, give me a second. Okay, so you can find the latitude and longitude values like this. So there are limited districts in the country, so you can search for all the districts, or you can search for the latitude and longitude values list if you can, like that. Okay, so you have to search for it on your own. Sometimes in some reports they might include it, but I don't know whether they have those values in this report. Okay, so what you have to do is you have to take the head count and the map processing should be done the map processing should be done using provided vector datasets. The map should be critically explained based on visualized information by comparing statistical figures during aforementioned time periods. Okay, so you should explain the map, right? You must explain the map. What is, I mean, after loading the data to the, after loading the data into the map, into your canvas, you have to explain what you can see in the map, right? So you can like mention in which districts are the maximum poverty head counts are there. Like that, you have to go through all the data. I mean, go through what you can see in the map, and you have to explain it, right? Based on the visualized information. So you can compare statistical figures during, I mean, this is a certain time period is given here, no? So you can explain, you can compare the statistical figures which are available, right? You can further refer all possible local and international reliable information sources to support your justification. So you can, I mean, when you are explaining what you can see in the map, you can also use other information sources in order to support what you are mentioning, right? You can use other information sources in order to support what you are mentioning, what you are in order to justify, right? So this map, I think you can create by now, right? This map you can create by now. You have all the what do you say, the knowledge to do this question, right? Okay, so the next question, actually you have to develop a heat map. So here what you have to do is the data is given to you, so you have to load the data into a map and you have to create a heat map. So creating heat map we haven't done yet, so we will I will explain it after I complete that theoretical part. And in question E also you have to develop a digitized map. So map digitizing is also we haven't done it yet. So you can we will just leave it as it is, because you won't be able to understand much without doing the practical here, right? Here also you have to develop a geospatial database, which we will do in on the next week probably. Yeah, here I think this one you can develop, because you have to they are asking to develop a map to visualize power plants which belongs to the electrical board with geospatial information such as address, latitude and longitude. The accurate GPS location should be retrieved via Google Earth. The map should be well described considering entities indicated and the advantages provided by those entities for the national economy. Yeah, I think you can actually add the, here you have to create a CSV file with all the information where the power plants are located in the country. The latitude and longitude values and the name of the power plant, you have to create a CSV file, right? And also information such as address, yeah, the location means the address, and the latitude and longitude values, you have to find it. You can find that information through the CEB official website, right? So you have to develop a CSV file and you have to use a base map as we did today, and you have to create a map, right, which indicates the power plants in the country, right? So remember, after you create the map, you have to include all the other map elements as we did on the previous on the first day of creating a map. If you can remember, we created a map of Japan. So we included some other map elements like the north arrow, the grid, the latitude and longitude values. So all those information should be there in the map, right? Don't just create a map and just um, get an image and include in your report, right? You have to include all the map elements when you are creating a map. So this question G actually you can do by now. Here also, no, you can't do it right now because you have to measure the distance among 2 points in a map, right? And you have to count certain attributes in the map. So this also I will explain after I do the theoretical part, right? So you have to create a report. I mean, you have to answer each and every question by creating a report. Okay. So that is your written assignment. Any questions? Okay, we'll fully discuss the assignment after we complete all our theoretical parts. So if you don't have any questions for today, we'll stop for today because we have to continue all the other theories from the next week onwards. So we will do digitizing a map. We will build heat maps. We have to calculate line length. So these things will be related to QGIS, and then we will start with PostgreSQL, and we'll do some R programming in RStudio. Right? Any questions? Anything you need to clarify for today? Start building your presentation from today onwards, because presentation you can totally create, you can totally complete it. The written assignment, those questions that I mentioned that you can do, you can start doing it. The other ones, you can do it when we complete each and every theory. Okay. Okay, then if you do not have any questions, any other questions, we will stop for today and we will continue on the next day. So until then, have a nice week.
Thank you, ma'am. Nice. Have a nice week.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Have a nice week.